Well, howdy, folks. Continuing on with this comic book movie adaptation review segment. And yeah, it's taking a little bit longer than what I expected it to be. But hey, I like to break things down. We're going to continue on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We're actually going to get into the MCU, the ones that's really popular right now. And a little tight, because I didn't want to get the window in the shot, so we'll start things off. This is just a leftover from the last video, and I said I probably wasn't going to get this, but I saw it for $6 at Best Buy in their Best Buy dump bin, and I couldn't resist. Daredevil, the director's cut, with Ben Affleck, Jennifer Gardner. Yeah, this is the R-rated version, I guess. This is the more superior film, or version of the film, than the one that was released theatrically. And so far, as far as I know, the theatrical version has yet to appear on Blu-ray. This is the only version that is available, so apparently the theatrical version is just stuck on DVD. Now I'm going to go through these based on category of movies. We all know this is the MCU, but going in alphabetical order, basically. I'm not going to go by the release order of the MCU. I'm just going to go by alphabetical order, because that's the way it is on the shelf, and just to make things easier for me. So the first up, we have the crowning achievement of what Marvel was building up to, the Avengers. And we got the first Avengers, Avengers Age of Ultron, and Avengers Infinity War Part 1. Actually, that should have a part 1, actually. But it's Disney. What can I say? This is the one that kicked things off with the whole Avengers saga, I guess, in terms of actually Avengers film. Yeah, really entertaining film. Doesn't hold anything back, I don't think. But then just when you think things couldn't get any bigger, then you got Age of Ultron. We're introduced to the new character of I'm trying to think of what it used to be, Jarvis, but I can't think of his name, what he is now. Anyway, we got to Avengers of Age of Ultron, and then now we're up to Avengers Infinity War, where everything is kind of coming to a head. And this is where, in this film, it has everybody from the MCU in this. It has Black Panther, the Incredible Hulk, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, and yeah, it just goes on and on. And of course, has some controversial moments. Some people are kind of up in arms about, what happened and who they killed off, and yeah, it's still fun, the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the Avengers. Next up is Black Panther. which kind of leads up to the last Avengers film, I think. And yeah, these movies, it's taken us to starting to expand and going to new worlds, and we got Black Panther. There is one movie I forgot to mention. I forgot to grab it. And of course, we can't forget. Whoops. I go to set it on the music stand and it goes flying off. Let's got AntMan. In some ways, kind of reminded me a little bit of Spider-Man, because it had the, with great power comes great responsibility. So yeah, we got Ant-Man and we got Black Panther there. And now, here is Captain America. The first one is, now, in case you're looking at my stuff here, these are actually the first pressing releases on Blu-ray. I bought them as soon as they came out. Yeah, this is the old Paramount release. Because since Disney has re-released all the MCU movies on their discs, so yeah, you've got Paramount was with Captain America: The First Avenger. Now that was the last Paramount release for Marvel Studios. From then on out, it's Disney that has taken over. And we got Captain America: Winter Soldier. And then we got Captain America: Civil War. Which kind of, in my opinion, is the Avengers 2.5. Because it's where they have this huge, enormous fight, but they made it Captain America story, and really it is, because they needed to continue on with the Winter Soldier, and the Winter Soldier is, spoiler alert, 1, 2, 3, is Bucky Barnes. And so, in Civil War, we find out what Bucky did that is made him a target for Tony Stark. So yeah, we got the Captain America series. Now we got another individual story, Doctor Strange. Some very cool things in this movie. However, this is where I feel that Marvel is beginning to slip a little bit in going for the new individual movies. Like I said, there's some really cool stuff in here with the, the time and how he can reverse time and alter time, and yeah, Doctor Strange, it's some really cool stuff. But the problem I feel with Doctor Strange is that it's not really a hard punch, like a good standalone character. Even though we know Doctor Strange has all this power to him, he's not Tony Stark. This is just my opinion, okay? He's not Tony Stark, and he's not Captain America, but, he has this great power, and to me, he seems more like he would be more of a supporting guy, but that's my opinion. But he's very crucial to the Avengers story, and they needed to make his story in order for him to appear in Infinity War. Now the next two here, They're just a blast to watch. Very, very fun. Um, yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and they're currently working on Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Despite James Gunn, um, James Gunn was fired from the project, and of course, at the time of this recording, he was fired for an offensive joke that he said a couple years ago on Twitter, and he did write the script for the third one, which they are using, but somebody else is going to be directing the third Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, and of course, Baby Groot. How can you beat that? Oh, yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy. Next up, the only MCU version of the Hulk that we are going to see. The Edward Norton version. And this is the film that they're basing the Hulk and the Avengers off of, even though Mark Ruffalo has replaced Edward Norton. This is a far better movie than Ang Lee's Hulk, but that's not saying much. And fans are really wanting the Mark Ruffalo stand-alone Hulk movie. But Universal is being a pain in the neck and not allowing that to happen. They're holding on to the rights for the Incredible Hulk for whatever reason, because even Sony saw the light and say, okay, Disney, you win. And so I think that was what they were hoping to do. Who knows? But yeah, the Incredible Hulk. Now we got the Iron Man movies. Now, I gotta explain this cover. I feel like I have to explain it every time. I bought this from a Movies You Buy bin, which is, it's an actually pressed disc. Movies You Buy bins are basically rental movies, like from Redbox and stuff like that they get rid of, and they just put them in little sleeves instead of putting them in the original cases. So I had to come up with the case, and the printer I had at the time was only in black and white. So yeah, and we got Iron Man. Again, this is the Paramount release. I put my old DVD copy in here along with the Blu-ray copy. And then we got Iron Man 2. Again, I put my DVD copy in. Yeah. Still a regular Blu-ray. And then we got Iron Man 3, which personally is probably my least favorite of the Iron Man movies. But I will say this, in terms of quality, it should have been Iron Man 2. But I think that Iron Man 3 is a better made movie and should be Iron Man 2, but it's actually my least favorite of the whole series. And I think a lot of people feel the same way because they completely... You're supposed to have Iron Man's most notorious villain in this movie, and it turns out he's a fraud with the Mandarin. Come on. Disney, hopefully you make an Iron Man 4 and you reveal that actually there is a Mandarin. So, yeah, the Iron Man series, and it was a real big gamble. This is the one that actually launched the whole MCU. Of course, I want to talk about this here for a moment because Jon Favreau was assigned to direct Iron Man. When he signed on, he immediately brought on Robert Downey Jr. And he pleaded with Paramount, let's use him. Let him be the Iron Man. And Paramount was very, very reluctant to do so because Robert Downey Jr. had just exited rehab. He had been in all sorts of legal trouble. He was in trouble with drugs and whatnot. And so they pleaded with Paramount, now that he was clean and sober, to let him be Iron Man. Well, they said yes, but if you look, and this is pretty much the movie poster, what's the biggest thing you see on here? The suit. And that's how they marketed the film. And rightfully so, because Paramount did not know how the public was going to accept Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. So, instead of making Robert Downey Jr. the star, saying that he's the star, they made the suit the star. And put Robert Downey Jr., then Jeff Bridges, Terrence Howard, who was replaced by Don Cheadle because Terrence Howard and Robert Downey Jr. had a big falling out. And so far, he has yet to appear in any other movie like that since then. So, yeah. Moving on, we have another standalone movie, but this is the second reboot of Spider-Man. This is Spiderman Homecoming. This is part of the MCU, produced by Marvel Studios, but released by Sony Pictures. Because Sony did not want to give up Spider-Man, but they allowed Marvel to come in and actually make the movie that they wanted to make with Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man is a part of Avengers, and Disney was really negotiating on how to put Spider-Man into the Avengers. And so they finally found their way that Sony was wanting to reboot Spider-Man, but they said, alright, you guys, you want Spider-Man, you can produce him, you can use him in the Avengers, but we keep the standalone movie rights. And so that's what's happened, is that even though Marvel Studios produced this film, it's a Sony Pictures release. And so that's why you see Iron Man here with Spidey. And they have, and Tom Holland playing, yeah, it's upside down. Tom Holland playing Spider-Man, Peter Parker. I think they found a winning match with him. And then finally we have the series of Thor. We have the original Thor, Thor the Dark World, and Thor Ragnarok. If you want to ask me which I think is the weakest of these films, I think the first one was. That's just my personal opinion. Um, but it was a good introducing piece to who Thor is, and it's just not it's just not my personal favorite of the Thor franchise. And Thor: The Dark World, um, everything gets hyped up a little bit. I think it's a bit more interesting and fun, to be honest with you. And then you got Thor Ragnarok, which is just a complete blast. I mean, on Guardians of the Galaxy type of level with Thor here, and it's just, yeah, it's just fun. Well, that's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Finally glad to wrap up Marvel. Now I want to start moving on to DC and start talking about them. But yeah, that's pretty much it of the Marvel movies. I'm just curious to see how long the MCU is going to last, because they just released the first trailer for Captain Marvel, and people are kind of skeptical about it, actually. And it's just one of those things. Let's wait and see what happens. Who knows? Because a lot of things the audiences was skeptical about, and very early on, but they ended up pretty good. So and this is how long Marvel has been going. They're saying now that each film that comes out, they said, well, this could be the film that breaks Marvel. This film could be the end of Marvel. Who knows? The audience decides whether Marvel keeps making these movies or not. So, from me to you, see you later.